Hey guys, welcome to my kitchen. Another big exciting day in my kitchen. Today's recipe is going to be fun and fast and easy, and it's one of those recipes where like you think an appetizer, one of those pre-dinner treats, or maybe the kids are coming in and you want to give them something kind of quick to tide them over until dinner. This is that recipe. And it's basically fried potato balls or potato croquettes, or in Italian it's croquette di patate. And this is one of those recipes that there's hardly anything left when you're done making it because everybody's nibbling as you're making it and you're going along. Okay, so let's hit ingredients. Number one, obviously center stage, name in the marquee is gonna be some potatoes. So you're gonna want about a pound-ish of potatoes. So, 4 medium-sized potatoes is kind of what you're going for here. Next, you're gonna need some breadcrumbs. I like the panko breadcrumbs better. It just gives you a better crunch, but Italian breadcrumbs are great. I like the non-seasoned, so I can add the flavor in which I want to in this recipe. You're gonna need 3 whole eggs. Next, you guys are gonna need some Parmesan cheese. So I've got here Parmigiano Reggiano, 24-month age. That's called Streccia Vecchia, which is like stretched out in its age. And we're gonna use, like I said, about a third of a cup, maybe a half of a cup. We're gonna want 1 whole clove of garlic. I'll show you a little trick on that. That's gonna be great. We're gonna need some noce, which is gonna be nutmeg. So here we're gonna use a good 1/4 teaspoon, which is more than we traditionally use. Oh, nutmeg just gives you just a punch of earth. It just gives you nutty, earthy, kind of almost like a buttery flavor. And that noce, that nutmeg is critical to this recipe. Next, you'll need some salt. I've got here pink Himalayan. Why? It's earthy, briny, it's sexy, okay? Everything comes out better with pink Himalayan. You're gonna need some fresh ground pepper. Always go with the fresh ground. And last, you guys are gonna need some olive oil. I'm thinking grassy, earthy, peppery. I definitely want something from Italy, something that's delicious. Where could I go? Where would I get olive oil like that? Oh, I know, Vito and Joe's. So guys, anyone new to our channel, I own a farm in Italy. It's in Puglia, Italy, just above the heel. We co-op with a whole group of farms to bring you some of the best olive oil you'll ever have. And it's called Vito and Joe's after my 2 boys. So you can hit the link above or below. You go to my website, Cooking Italian with Joe, my Facebook, Cooking Italian Joe. Just click buy it now. We'll drop ship you a bottle right to your house. And it's your trip to Italy right in a bottle, and you don't even have to pay airfare. How great is that? Guys, let's get cooking. I got Frank Sinatra playing Pandora in the background. Everything comes out better with Frank. Now listen, we're gonna preheat the oven at 375 degrees. I'm gonna put these potatoes in the oven. Your potatoes are gonna need to cook for about 45 minutes or until you can put a knife right through the potato real easily. Now while the potatoes are baking for 45 minutes, you're gonna wanna roast your garlic. So just take that clove of garlic and you're gonna wrap it in foil, just nice and snug. And I'm gonna put this garlic in the oven with my baked potatoes for the 45 minutes. Guys, it's been 45 minutes, let's check those potatoes. And there's my garlic, perfect. Sometimes people ask me, why do I choose to bake the potato rather than cut it and boil it? And I'll tell you why. I don't like to add the water into the potato or the potato mixture. So when I bake the potato, it's gonna come out a lot drier. My potatoes are done and I just opened my garlic there. So my garlic's done. So I'm gonna set that aside, let that cool. And now while these are warm, just take a knife and just come across. It's a lot easier when the potato's warm than when it's cool. And it'll come right off. Look at that, beautiful. So I'm gonna go ahead and peel these. Potatoes are peeled. You guys see the steam coming off? Huh? So yeah, we're gonna, look at that. Oh, those are perfect. So you're just gonna cut these in a smaller piece and let them cool, not necessarily cold. Next thing on our garlic here, I just wanna open up the skin. Now this is roasted. You see it? Isn't that gorgeous? Okay, my roasted garlic's done. My potatoes are cooling. Guys, oh, that roasted garlic, I'm telling you, nobody teaches these little tricks other than Cooking Italian with Joe. When you roast garlic, it takes away that brightness of the garlic, that bite, and it adds that rustic, earthy, softened, almost buttery flavor to it. So it doesn't jump out at you. It gives you that backdrop of flavor, which is gonna be fantastic. All right, next I want a bowl to put everything in. Now ideally you wanna use a ricer. So if you have a ricer, that'd be great. If you don't, not the end of the world. But if I put these in a bowl, and I fork them apart, I still get chunks of potato, and I don't like that. So I'm gonna take the potatoes, and I'm gonna rice all the potatoes in a bowl. This will work a lot easier when they're a little cooler, not cold. Everything will get kind of gooey if you do it when it's all hot. And you're gonna see here, see how that just lightens. Oh, that's just so perfect. Guys, our potatoes are done. Now we wanna make it sexy. So I'm gonna add some pink Himalayan. So I'm gonna add a good half of a teaspoon. I'm gonna add a good half of a teaspoon or more of my fresh ground pepper. Next, I'm gonna take my garlic press with my roasted garlic. I'm gonna get it right in there. See it? I want all that in there, every bit of it. Next, we're gonna want about 1/3 of a cup or more of fresh ground Parmesan cheese or Parmesan Reggiano. Next, guys, I want to do the egg. So I want 2 egg whites in this dish. I'm going to use that to prep for breading. I'm going to put the yolk right in my potatoes. Second egg white, egg yolk in my potatoes. And last, I'm going to put 1 whole egg in my potatoes. So to prevent confusion here, I've got 2 egg yolks and 1 whole egg in the potatoes out of the 3, and I put 2 egg whites for my wash. Next, I'm going to use my nocia, which is my nutmeg, and I'm going to use a good half of a teaspoon. Normally, I tell you to go light, but in this dish, you want to go heavier with it. You definitely want a good flavor of nutmeg. Oh, boy, that's good. And nutmeg traditionally goes with anything creamy, eggy, potatoes. Next, we're gonna use a splash of olive oil. Yep, Vito and Joe's. So I'm gonna use about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. One of my tips is to use a fork here because we don't wanna make this a paste. We wanna keep it light. So poke your egg yolks, and then what you're gonna do is almost fold it with the fork. I don't wanna push it in, and I don't want to mush it together, and you defeat the purpose of the ricer and the whole reason that you bake the potatoes. So it's gonna wanna turn into a paste. We don't want it to, so I'm gonna give it a nice light mix with my fork. Now I'm gonna let it set aside, cool, and we'll give it 1 more light stir before I start making my balls. Guys, we gotta do our breadcrumbs. So I'm gonna take my breadcrumbs, I'm gonna pop them in a bowl, and I wanna season these. Remember, you always season layers. So I'm gonna use about 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I'm gonna hit my fresh ground pepper. Again, another 1/4 teaspoon. And now I'm gonna add a little Parmesan cheese, a little Parmesan Reggiano. I love that because it fries and it gets crispy and delicious. I'm gonna put about 1/4, maybe 1/3 of a cup of Parmesan cheese in my breadcrumbs. Now I'll get a fork and give it a good stir. Guys, the aroma in here is fantastic, first off. Secondly, it's time to make some croquettes. You guys ready? So a couple of tips that make these come out great. One, I like one of these small ice cream scoopers. That way everything is the same size. It'll take the same time to cook because everything's the same size. Secondly, I got my dredging station going here, right? So I've got my egg white dish. I've got a plate here to put my potato croquettes on after they're done. Got my potatoes, which I'm gonna do a light stir with my fork, and I've got my seasoned breadcrumbs ready to go. A couple more things to get ready. I want a cast iron pan on the stove ready to go, and I don't need a ton of olive oil. Obviously, you're gonna use Vito and Joe's, but you're gonna want maybe 1/4 of an inch, maybe a little bit more in the bottom of that pan and get it hot, because right when we're done here, we're gonna go over to the stove and we're gonna start frying. Another important tip that makes these come out great is when you subscribe to our channel. So there's a red button right down here and a notification bell. When you hit that, any new recipes, any new trips, I got a blog, Blogging with Boreal, that'll come right to your notification box. And I tell you guys this every week. It really means a lot to me when you subscribe to our channel, and hey, makes you part of the family. You know what I'm saying? Another important part of our life that we love to share with you guys is our olive oil. So be sure to take a moment and click one of the links or go to one of our web pages and grab yourself a bottle of olive oil. Okay, we're ready to go. I'm gonna put not even that much, like 2 to 3 tablespoons of water in my egg white just to get it a little bit looser and it'll be easier to work with. Give my potatoes a nice light stir with the fork. Guys, let's start dredging. So I'm gonna take my little scooper, I'm gonna put it in there. I'm gonna get a good hunk of it in there, okay? And then I'm gonna scoop it in my hand. I'm gonna roll out a ball. And again, I don't wanna go tight with it. I wanna keep it light. Now I'm gonna go in my egg wash, give it a nice little stir. That's gonna act as your glue for your breadcrumbs. Now I've got my breadcrumbs, give it a nice push all the way around. And guys, that's perfect. I'm gonna put that right on my plate and I'm gonna get making some croquettes. Talk to you in a few minutes. Guys, our pan's hot. We're gonna get frying. Jerry Vale's playing. Now listen, I got a plate over here with a paper towel, spoon to get my croquettes out, right? And see how it's got holes in there to drain the oil. And then I've got a little trick here, a little Parmesan cheese. So I wanna hit the top of those when they come out and they're hot. They're gonna be great. All right, so let's start frying. Our oil's hot. I don't wanna fill it up because I'll bring the temperature down too much. But traditionally, we flatten them out a little bit. So you're gonna see some marks sometimes with the fork. It'll make it a little easier to cook. They won't roll off. In old Italy, rustic Italy, that's how you're gonna see them. They're gonna be a little bit more flattened out. Okay, guys, it's been just a couple of minutes. Look at that, is that perfect? That crisp. Guys, the second side will cook a lot faster because the croquettes already warmed up. Okay, guys, it's been a few minutes here. Everything's perfect, so I'm gonna go ahead and put them on my plate. Guys, while they're hot, right when they came out, take that Parmesan cheese and just hit it, and that's gonna melt and stick right to the top. I'm gonna get frying, finish our croquettes. Favorite time will taste time. Talk to you guys in a few. Guys, frying's done. I'm missing 3 of them because my son Vito on the way out ended up grabbing a few. Can't blame them. They're good. I'm just telling you. You got to police your plate. You know what I mean? As you guys know, this is always my favorite time. So we want to cut into this. Let me just show you why this is so awesome. So you can see the cheese melting on the top. Can you guys hear that? That crunch? I see the steam coming out. Oh, that's good. Look at that. You got that beautiful crisp crust on the outside. Cheese all the way through, flavor all the way through. You can smell the nutmeg, the garlic, and the breadcrumbs and the olive oil. Very hot. I love the crunch, the texture. That is awesome. First, you're gonna love that texture, that crunch, that crisp with the panko breadcrumbs. You can't do it any other way. And then you get that Parmesan cheese. You got the roasted garlic, the salt, the pepper, the olive oil. The potato's delicious. And you get that nutmeg. It's just right near the end. Oh, and it's smooth and it's hearty and it's satisfying. And you can dip these. You guys can make a great dip, a marinara, something like that. But they are so good just like this. Now that's molto delicioso, man. That is good eating. Hey, thanks so much for joining me in the kitchen today. Another great recipe. Hopefully you guys enjoy that with your family. Remember, click that red subscribe button, notification bell. Hey, make you part of the family, and be sure to treat yourself with that link above. Grab yourself a bottle of Vito and Joe's olive oil. Your trip to Italy right in the bottle, no airfare, you know what I'm saying? And guys, listen, one of my most important tips always, every week, shut off the cell phone, the computer, shut off the TV for a bit, get out of Netflix just for a little bit. Get around the table with your family and celebrate your heritage and spend some time with your parents and grandparents and set some traditions that'll last you a lifetime. I know they did for me. Hey guys, from my kitchen to yours, until next week, mwah, buon appetito.